why don't we flip the ransom on them? So we've always had hackers trying to break into our systems, and we spent a lot of time building secure storage. I mentioned earlier kind of like how we divide up keys, and they're never touched the internet, and they're like distributed all over the world in these like super secure locations, and we pen test it and everything. But there are hackers who tried to do something a little different recently, which was they actually started contacting our customer support agents and trying to bribe them to turn over customer information. Now, our customer support agents don't have access. They can't like move your money, right? But they can turn over things like, people's personal information, like their name, address, maybe their balance or something like that, because they're looking at that to try to help customers with their problem. And, we started getting customer support agents get offered like 250 grand bribes for some of these things, which is crazy, right? And unfortunately, especially in some of our facilities we operate overseas on this, if you ask 1,000 people, you offer 1,000 people 250K to turn over some information like that, they're going to find one or two bad apples. And so that's what started happening. Some of these agents were actually, because they're not allowed to use their own computer. They're not allowed. It's a lockdown system. They're not even allowed to bring in their own phone. They have to use like a work phone. But what some of these folks started doing was smuggling in a personal phone and taking photos of the screen with some of the customer information and giving it to these attackers. And then the attackers would call up our customers and say, hey, this is Coinbase support. Like, are you blah, 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 who lives at this address? And it would create credibility. And they would try to tell them, hey, your account has been compromised. Like, you need to move your funds immediately. Like, can you send it to this address? And sort of trick people into sending their funds to the attacker. So we noted that this was happening. And by the way, we refunded the customers who were affected by this. None of them had any loss. So the attacker who had gotten this information, the information they had gotten was starting to get less and less useful because we were cracking down on it and hardening our systems. There's a whole bunch of ways we can do that, by the way. But what happened is they basically, once the information started to be less useful, they sent us a ransom demand. And they said, hey, we're going to leak all this customer information, send it to journalists, and if you don't pay us $20 million. So we kind of got together as a team, our chief security officer, and these guys are great, been working on this stuff for a long time. And they kind of said, look, we shouldn't pay the ransom because, maybe they'll hold off releasing the information for a few months, but guess what always happens? They come back and demand more, like 3 months later, 6 months later.